Welcome to the CBCC Voice Business Unboxed. I'm your host, Karma, and I have Wally here, the CEO of the Canterbury Bankstown Chamber of Commerce. Who do we have today?
We're here in the city, actually. We are in the CBD. This is wow. And we are in the headquarters of Arada. Oh. This is the new headquarters. And today we are in the company of Paul and Aladdin. But I think, Paul, just quickly tell us in a brief session, what do you do? What's your role? That's it.
Oh, thanks.
We can go deeper in the...
Of course. Look, thanks for having us. And it's excited to be here. And my role at Arada is the Sales and Marketing Director.
Okay.
So I'll be involved in and am involved in setting up the sales and marketing teams that will operate on our Australian projects, and also liaising closely with our overseas design teams and marketing and brand teams over there as well.
Awesome. Very powerful. But I think the key factor here, our journey started when Aladdin rang me and said, we would love to connect with the chamber. And we made the travel to Piedmont. Very impressive. He had a nice mock-up about what's happening in Dubai as well. So for me, that was like, wow, it's a big deal. And then we connected with Aladdin on a sincere personal level and professional level. So Aladdin, I'd love to sort of first introduce yourself and tell us, what do you do with Arada, through Arada?
So I'm one of the directors in Arada Australia, and I'm also the Chief Financial Officer for Arada Australia.
What does Arada mean to you?
Arada, to me, is a company that really puts people first. It's a people-centric company. We really value the communities that we work in, and we try improving all communities that we go into to give them a better quality of life and more connected life. And by connected life, I mean connecting the community to all the facets around it, being it's work, it's retail, it's leisure, everything, just connecting all that into a community.
Arada is expanding, and you're doing amazing work. I believe now you've done some sort of acquisition. Just briefly, if we can touch base.
So, in Australia, we've done a few acquisitions. The first one was Reformatory Coffee. It's a very boutique coffee brand, does specialty coffees. So we acquired that one, and they're now opening up their second store in the UAE. Then we did a big acquisition being Roberts Co. New South Wales is a tier 1 construction company. We thought that worked very well within our wider group. We never actually had a construction arm. And it was going to give us a point of difference in delivery. And the most recent acquisition or investment we've made is into Bookie Bakehouse, which is a famous, social media famous bakery in Brisbane. On the back of the acquisition, we have our first store opening up in Sydney tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
And we're hoping to hit 25 stores around the globe by the end of 2026.
Are you expanding to Western Sydney?
We're looking at...
I like it.
We're looking at outlets across the whole Sydney.
Well, let us know how we can help. I believe this afternoon we're going to Parliament.
Yes.
For some sort of special announcement.
Yes.
Can we elaborate more, please?
Oh, yes. So Arada is going to announce its partnership with the Women's Community Shelter, who are an amazing organisation. It's a 15-year partnership where we are donating a block of 8 apartments for the use of domestic violence victims. That block of apartments will offer about 7,300 nights beds a year to victims of domestic violence and homelessness. It's going to be a big 15-year partnership, and hoping to roll out more of these houses as the years go on.
I remember the key word when I met you. You told me Arada is about legacy. It's about making a difference.
Yes.
And it's about quality. And truly what you're doing so far with this speed of time, you are making such an amazing progress, and you are leaving your mark, obviously with your team, every day of the week. So congratulations. And the Chamber is delighted to be one of your key partners, and we look forward to a prosperous journey.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And hopefully we can sort of demonstrate that it's not always about profit. You need to sort of look into the people that you're working with, your stakeholders, and leave something on the table for them.
Thank you, Aladdin. This is your Aladdin, your amazing friends. And we can always reach out to Aladdin. He's on LinkedIn, and I'm sure we'll have more events coming up in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Welcome back. We have another guest here. Who do we have here, Wally?
Well, first, welcome to the Canterbury Bankstown Chamber of Commerce podcast, and we are here to explore the people and the companies shaping our communities. Today, we're joined by 2 leaders from Arada, Ed Natur, Development Director, and Paul Wainwright, Sales Marketing Director. Arada is fast-growing, internationally recognized developer known for creating connected, sustainable communities. And they've recently established a major presence here in Australia. Ed, Paul, welcome on board.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
For those who might not know Arada yet, can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and what you stand for?
Sure. So Arada emerged into the Sydney market. I think we just hit our 12-month anniversary about 2 months ago. So still a new developer in Sydney and in Australia. In terms of who we are, obviously emerged from the UAE as a prominent developer. I think the third largest developer now in the UAE, Wally. So we've expanded obviously to Australia and made the decision to expand to the UK recently as well. In terms of who Arada is, obviously a vertical developer, but I think a special developer in terms of not just looking at the bottom line, looking to expand and basically deliver communities in the areas that we develop in.
And I think to add to that, we've got a simple mission, which is to create communities where people love to live. That's about having, exactly right. So, highly livable communities that are connected and engaging for all the residents, not just for those who are living within that project or projects, but the surrounding interaction with the other residents as well.
Does Arada have a unique point of difference?
I think in terms of an offering, a lot of developers will, talk about things like master planning, talk about things like community building. I think you need to believe the message, and I do genuinely think that message, it's evident from what Arada do in Dubai, in Sharjah, that they are a point of difference in terms of some of the developers. We do have some great competition in Australia. Obviously, Paul and I come from backgrounds from other companies. What drew us to essentially is a kind of a startup in Australia is that great sort of philosophy in terms of community, sustainability, people first, design-led sort of developments. Some of those, I guess, projects that, you can see some grey hairs on Paul and myself. We've been around for a while. So I like to think that in 5 or 10 years that I can drive past one of our developers and be really proud of what we've delivered.
I think the key question always, we keep hearing about Arada expanding to London, across the globe. But why Australia? Australia is a far continent.
Yeah. You know what? I think... So our group CEO was originally born in Sydney. So
What's his name?
Ahmed.
Okay.
So Ahmed was originally born in Sydney, moved to Dubai probably 20 years ago, and obviously was integral in setting up Arada over in Dubai and Sharjah. I think he always had that kind of, longing to potentially come back to his hometown to start delivering and developing some of his some new projects. So I think he had a soft spot for the area, but also I think it was more about establishing Arada as an international player, not just a player in the UAE or Dubai.
And you're making an impact. You're creating an echo for good reason.
Absolutely.
I think under his guidance, he's come to Australia. He's recognised that potentially there's a problem with builders in Australia since COVID, for example. A lot of the Class 2 residential builders have moved out of residential for whatever reason because of they can't get projects to stack up, they can't get money, skills. Capabilities. So you know what? He could think outside the box and say, okay, well, what if we became a developer builder, or what if we went and acquired a tier 1 builder? So he's not afraid of kind of challenging the norms and kind of thinking bigger. And sometimes, in some of our conversations together, sometimes when I'm thinking with the blinders on, he says to me, kind of expand and open up your horizon because we're going to think big. And they're really looking to make a big impact here in Australia.
That's amazing. We keep mentioning communities. Like as a mum myself, and I moved maybe 20, 30 minutes away from my parents when I had children. So when you talk about communities, is that something you sort of lacked in growing up with, I don't know if you have families of your own, or is that why it's so important to...
I think especially with high density living, it can be hard to sometimes create communities because people come in the front door, they go straight up the lift, and they go straight to their apartment without really interacting. So some of the things that we like to do, for example, is have kind of focal meeting points at entries to buildings, so that people can speak and
so it's
can,
like smartly designed.
Yeah,
How in a shopping centre they design certain things, light and moods.
Yeah, like, in the UAE, we've got probably 50 in-house architects.
That's how big.
50 in-house architects that will look at all of our development, all our concepts before we even proceed to engage an architect to help instill some of those kind of...
So you put the heart into...
Yeah.
It's not just creating buildings, it's...
So Paul, do you feel like there's a way of life here? There's a sort of it's a way of life being sort of installed into the structure and the way Arada is building?
Look, I think so. And I think that one of the things that attracted, apart from Ed's points, that attracted Arada to Australia is that Australia shares many values that underpin the success that Arada has had so far overseas. And looking to bring that and share that, some of those incredible community initiatives and have those delivered here on our doorstep as well.
We've talked about it with Aladdin regarding acquisition, but I believe now you've acquired Roberts Co. How do you see this acquisition strengthening the position of Arada?
So we've now moved in to the same office as Roberts Co. Being in the same office, obviously owned by the same parent entity, we have the ability to kind of move people across different departments, but we can also draw upon that rich skill set that Roberts have developed. So before we even lodge a DA, before we're even talking, and some of our, we've actually dragged some of the Roberts crew into some of our design meetings with the architect. And what that does is that actually helps us design a building that goes in for approval that we know that we can deliver.
So you do the homework before...
we do a lot of...
You filter everything, you tick all the boxes, basically.
Correct. So, it's been a great sort of collaboration with the Roberts crew.
Let's go to Paul, Karma.
Paul's question.
Arada talks about connected life.
Yep. So how does that come through in the first Sydney project?
Look, in our first energy project, so what connected life means to Arada is it's really our brand philosophy. It's what we're about, as we've touched on. It's about building lasting communities that get better over time, that cater for people in all stages of life, of all ages. We're expecting that we'll have a really diverse mix of residences in all of our projects, and having that diversity in our property types to cater for and ensure that they're suitable for everyone. We don't just see it as structures when we're building a building. We see it as a framework for how people live and interact and thrive together. That's thriving is a key word for us. Is making sure that we're building thriving communities.
So how does this come through in your first Sydney project?
We've worked very closely, as Ed touched on. We've got an amazing design team overseas, a team of international architects, and we're also worked locally with Turner Architects here in Australia. They've created an incredible project in Castle Hill, which is right opposite the Showground metro train station. Coming through, it's about creating a space that has incredible community amenity and facilities. Each building will have a rooftop garden and dining experience for each of the residents in each building. We're building some great recreational and exercise spaces for residents. It's not just for those who want to be fit and healthy, that's active and passive. If you want to sit in the courtyard and read a book, you can do that as well. So it's about having that diversity.
Lure them outside a bit because everyone's used to.
Absolutely. The central courtyard at our Castle Hill project, which will be our first, will be something to be seen. That's awesome. For sure.
Yeah.
You've got Castle Hill.
Castle Hill, yep.
Can you mention any other hubs?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
without breaching any.
No, when we talk connected, all of our sites are within 150 metres of a metro. So when you talk about connection, it's not just about obviously the social connections that people have within the building, but there's also connection to community facilities within the building. But a big one is obviously connection to outside amenity. So you've got 150 metres of obviously transport, which is really important. So Castle Hill, we're opposite the Showground station.
Wow.
We've got 2 projects in Campsie, one of them being nearly on the metro, on the Campsie Metro, the other one being a little bit further down on Beamish Street. Canterbury, right next to the new Canterbury Metro. And they're the kind of 4 active projects we have. We do have some other sites that we're working on kind of bringing to market, but our focus is on these 4 projects initially.
So technically basically we can say it's environmentally friendly.
Yes.
You're indirectly helping the environment, especially for those who are keen on sort of footprints and carbon footprints.
For sure. I mean, it's hard because probably this is a different conversation we'll have in 10 years, right? The people aren't willing to let go of cars yet.
Look,
especially in suburbs, especially in the suburbs, right?
I don't like to force people to change their way of life. I think we need to accommodate that and work around it.
Correct.
and slowly move,
100%.
softly and smoothly with any change.
And that will happen. You could see now sort of projects. We're in the CBD.
Yeah.
Very many residential projects will have 0 or minimal parking within them, right? Because you've got all the services. So if you can give people all the services within the locality and they can walk to most of the services, and I'm talking everyone needs a supermarket, right? Schools, things like tutoring, things like specialty stores, transport. If you can get those things within a walking distance, then, you've ticked the box in terms of having services accessible to people and having it so that they're not going out of their way, or they don't feel like they're missing out on something.
Karma, you're a good example about a family.
Yes.
If you want to move into a new location or a new hub or a community kind of thing, what do you look for?
I live in one, so my area where I live, I'm lucky enough to be walking distance to specialty shops, and
So you need close access to the shopping centre.
Access. I've got a bus stop outside my house, walking distance to Woolies, and like a whole range of. So I find that
you
very
need a gym these days.
Gets me walking out.
You've got kids, they want to do some
playground, recreation facility.
Playground.
To the park down the street. It's very important because you don't want to always sit in the car all day. I'm driving around all day myself, but getting the girls in the car, I love them to get outside.
Sure.
The advantage for Arada, because you have the capabilities, you can think outside the square and make sure you tick all the boxes. And because sometimes affordability and capabilities from a company perspective do play a crucial role in making sure any project, sometimes you want to find shortcuts, but from your perspective, there's no shortcuts. You got the full picture, tick all the boxes.
Correct.
Yeah, correct. And I think if you invest in that amenity, it comes back to reward you later on down the track with longevity. For the purchasers who buy into these projects early on, it adds value to them down the track because they're living in a community that has been well thought of up front and has those facilities and the connectivity that we spoke about.
Communities are close to the heart of Arada, and I think this is one of your main pillars. So what does that mean in practice?
Oh, look, it means many things, but the key elements are around building these thriving communities that are self-sufficient to an extent where they are connected with nature, they are connected with public transport, they're connected to retail, they're connected to education. Not to sound cliche, connected life. It is about that, having those connections to those key elements that hopefully will deliver healthy, happy living experiences for our residents.
Yeah.
Have you built schools here yet? Is that part of your scope eventually?
Not yet, but obviously Roberts build schools.
Okay.
So Roberts are obviously a builder, and they're currently tendering on a couple of schools at the moment.
Nice.
I know them from when I did. So Paul and I did a lot of work in a suburb of Wentworth Point, and we know that Roberts built the high school in Wentworth Point, and that's where we kind of had that connection previously. It's not something as a developer, but it depends on the size of the project, right? If we go to areas, obviously as part of our due diligence, we look to see what sort of amenity schools are in the area already, and that obviously will govern sometimes our decisions on where to invest in Australia or in Sydney.
That's amazing. So a lot of our members in the chamber are small businesses, medium size as well. What lessons from Arada could you help approach could take away from this, from what you guys do?
I'd say think big. Like, I know
Don't be
that.
afraid.
I know. Ahmed's one of his
Stepping
strengths.
the unknown.
Yeah, just
Think
run
big.
blindly.
Like, who would have thought when I came and joined this company, like, for them to acquire a cookie company, I would have thought,
You know, I saw that on social media. I'm thinking, cookie company, I was in here as a, like a digital.
but you know what? He's thinking big, because the mandate for Australia, for us, is any retail, any commercial we will hold as a company.
Nice.
And then, you know what? If we've got our own brands, we'll put our brands into some
That's
of those
amazing,
retal.
yeah.
Create destinations.
So we will kind of own that vertical sort of chain, from being the developer, being the builder, being the landlord, being the tenant.
The retail,
So if I could say anything, you know, the sky's the limit. Think big.
You mentioned destination. This is a key word, and a lot of decision makers and influencers, they talk about destination. I can say, just from listening and talking and meeting with all the Arada team, I feel like Arada is able to shape up a destination where consumers or end users call it to live, study, work, and do business.
Yes.
So you have the culture, the thinking, the vision, the passion, and the feelings to transform destination to tick all that 4 pillars. Is that a fair
I would agree
statement?
with that. Yes, I would agree with that for sure.
It is. It goes back to having those meaningful experiences through lifestyle, culture, food and beverage, recreation. This is important, whether you're building a home or serving customers. Having that authentic offering and being genuine to your customers. Know who your customers are. Understand that whatever your product offering is, one size doesn't always fit all. Which is why when we're doing our communities, we're doing a lot of research. We're seeing what the demographic mix is, and we're trying to deliver communities that cater for what our expected residents will look like, and making sure we've got the property type mix that will accommodate to their needs. Same for business.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us to sustainability. So
Sustainability is on everyone's radar right now. How does Arada approach it beyond just words?
Well, it's not just sustainability as a measurable element of sustainability. You've got to take into consideration, and we do that in all of our developments and briefs. Is about having social sustainability is really important to us. Not just economic sustainability. It's not just a buzzword for us. It is really important. It's embedded into what we do as part of our process in designing our communities. From the materials we select to how we manage construction and energy use with Roberts Co. Hopefully we'll be advancing new building methods that reduce waste, improve safety, and enhance efficiency. The sky's the limit for us.
I think the other thing too is when people think sustainability, it's just about, say, the materials you use in construction, but it's more than that, right? Paul touched upon economic sustainability. It's important for people who buy our product to have longevity and experience capital growth in the product that they buy from us. And we do that because we design them right, we build them right, we make sure that you talk about communities. People want to live in our buildings. Obviously, if there's that demand, the price will generally rise, obviously with market and conditions.
that's how you strengthen the connection.
So it's economic.
belonging.
100%.
Social sustainability, next to transport, next to amenity, next to having people within a building communicate, having the things like the pool and the gym, and organizing, having a place for yoga room where some of the community or some of the people in the building can hire an external yoga instructor so that they have that connection.
Yeah.
Those sort of things.
I feel with this kind of passion
making people love where they live.
I think honestly, I feel like from just listening to you, gentlemen, and the passion and the energy and the determination, I feel like it's a privilege to live in Arada hubs. Kind of.
We hope so. It certainly is desirable overseas, and we're hoping to bring that same appetite and interest here to the Australian market. We're really excited about having our first.
Aladdin touched on earlier. It's not about squeezing every last drop out of profit out of a project. Now, as a developer, I've had to kind of change my mindset a little bit
because you need to maximize every square meter in the building.
Because
let's be honest.
I'm used to investors want a return, maximize the return for an investor, right? But in speaking to our group CEO Ahmed, he's saying, Ed, don't go for every little kind of. We want to be better. We want to be better than our competitors.
You're essentially leading the way as well.
Yeah.
Because today's world, we go. There's 3 bedrooms or 4 bedrooms, but walk into that bedroom, you can't even have double bedroom.
No, you can't.
So it's a bedroom, but there should be like a standard size for a bedroom.
Yeah.
There is minimum sizes, so most developers pick the minimum size.
Because of every developer now, because of the cost measures and the cost of building, they try to say, okay, it's like the car park spot now. It's shrinking. You can't even open the door when you want to get out of the car.
Look,
this is where we're heading.
It's a very valid point that you make, because we're putting together a scope of design standards that when we're briefing our architects, when we're briefing our designers, when we're liaising with our experienced experts overseas, we're saying minimums of this must have that. We need maximized light, ventilation, natural airflow, privacy, all of these things that will almost like a checklist that we want out.
Minimum.
Yeah. We have a company based in Auburn, actually. It's a life-size plan. So basically you walk into the studio and you can see, you walk into your house basically before you build it.
Oh, wow.
Is that something Arada can consider?
Sure.
Because again, that brings me back to the question: are you going to engage with local suppliers, local contractors, local people?
We will definitely engage with locals.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we're using local subcontractors, local, and obviously we're a local builder, right? So even though we're a company from the UAE, we're backed by we're an Australian business. We're backed by Australian equity, and none of the money that we make in Australia is going to be repaid back overseas. It's actually going to be used
because we'd love to see our mums and sisters and sons and daughters have a chance to work, because obviously we want our young people to study, but while they're studying, if there's a chance for them to work locally rather than travel, I mean, if you can lead by example, for sure. So let's talk about leadership. You both lead in teams through international growth and market change. What leadership lessons that stand out? So both of you, Ed and Paul.
So as a leader, I think it's important to lead by example, right? I think it's not just to say that you're a leader or I'm the boss or a title. Paul and I have worked together for so long. We don't really care about titles, even though you need hierarchy and you need, organizational charts, within a company just to develop the structure. We're very horizontal. So I think we're hands-on. We get involved in everything.
And you're both humble, I must say that.
Well,
it's important because it's visible from an outsider.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's important to say on the record, and without exaggeration. Leaders, yes, matters, but humility as well plays a vital role.
100%.
Yeah.
Look, I think empathy. You're dealing with people, you're dealing with emotions, you're dealing with, whether it's your team or your customers. It's really important that you got to understand people, what drives them, what challenges them, how to get the most out of them, and how to mentor them. And when you do that, you create real successful connections, and that's what these things are about.
Everyone needs to enjoy where they work, otherwise.
Exactly right. And that's what sustains success is we spend more time at our workplace with our work colleagues than we do at home with our families in a lot of instances. So let's make it an enjoyable place and set some incredible
I've worked
environments for work.
Bosses.
Let's go for number 7. What's next?
So what's next for Arada in Australia?
You know what? So we're big on acquisition at the moment. So I've got a team who are looking at science. We're looking to really expand our presence in Sydney. We'll announce it. We've just acquired a land subdivision site over in Port Macquarie, so up north.
Oh, so you're going.
So what sizes are you looking at?
So that's about 1,000 future lots, anywhere between 700 and 1,000, depending on. We're actually in the early stages of concept design over in the UAE.
Yeah.
And as an example, what they'll do is they'll look at existing features, like if there's any rocky outcrops. major trees that we want to retain, and they'll kind of design the development around retaining some of those elements, those natural elements, rather than come in and just butcher everything, flatten everything, build your retaining walls.
Add to the
Let's add to what's there, and so that we can create that master plan community. So big on obviously expansion. Where Paul and I have been setting up a pretty decent team behind us with a lot of experience, a lot of Australian experience. I think Arada is now a known name in the industry, whereas, probably you'd say a year ago or even 6 months ago, probably not so much. And it's good that we're actually attracting really experienced talent in the business. And I think we've been tasked with becoming, I'm not going to say top 5, but one of the top 10 developers probably over the next 5 to 10 years in Australia.
Well, I think I do believe the way you're moving forward with your upright intention, your capabilities, your moral compass, and your determination, you will.
Thanks, Wally.
You'll speed the process, and I think it's about time.
We're confident.
It's about
we're
time.
Humble leaders, but we're confident as well.
And look, it's exciting. Like Ed's talking about our acquisitions, we've got 4 large major projects that are in the pipeline now already in Sydney and Sydney Metro. So we haven't started construction. We're working through with our planners and design teams and authorities, but we're super excited to get some construction underway and get our name up on a crane.
Feel free to criticise. How's the DA process going from local government and state government? Is it healthy?
So I don't know if you know, but at the moment there's a alternate pathway with state government for development.
Big projects
DAs.
above a certain level.
So we obviously all our projects comply with that. So we've lodged our first one, Castle Hill, with the it's called the House HDA, which is state government planning. So that's underway. We've got the other one in Beamish Street in Campsie, which is closed for lodgement. I have been liaising and speaking to council as well, because obviously it's important for us to have maintained relationships.
The council, obviously, they are for.
Yeah. You know what?
Progress.
Beamish Street, that project designed by Woods Bagot with co-designed by Arada UAE, I think is going to be a game changer in the whole Campsie area. When you see, once we release the images and release the CGIs, I think we're going to set the bar for future projects.
And Campsie is only 10, 15 minutes from the city.
Yeah.
There's a room to build a hotel. I don't know if that's part of your scope.
But that's not in this project, but it's not something that we've shied away from the UAE. So we're looking at a few opportunities in Sydney and a couple in Melbourne.
Because the airports come in, Western Sydney Airport, and this is going to shape up Western Sydney.
Correct.
Especially the southwest.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, look, in the UAE, we've done and do master plan communities, retail, education, hospitality, student accommodation, mixed use developments. So we do all of these different things, and often they're all in and around each other as well to build those lasting communities.
Hannah, any fun or any?
Well, I'm just excited that you are in Australia and you are creating communities, because it's so important, especially raising your children, connecting with the outside world, especially as mums, single mums, or even, like women that are in domestic violence, how you're.
That's great.
It's so important that everyone's connected in some way, not just work related.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Paul, any final message?
No, look, thanks obviously for having us. As I said before, we're really excited to be here. We're delighted to be part of the chamber and looking forward to, a lot of the members of the chamber I know through business, through circles, through going out and,
relationship
and seeing them and building those relationships. So, excited to meet and greet more of the team that are part of the chamber and doing future works with you folks.
Ed?
For me, finally, thanks for your time. I really appreciate, obviously, the opportunity to talk. One final thing, one of the things that drew me, I guess, to Arada was their social governance. It's not just about the money. They have a home for a home campaign where for every home that they sell, they'll build a home for someone in need.
Oh, wow.
So they started that in Kenya in 2016.
Yep.
And they've earmarked potentially Palestine for next year, where they can help some of the people in Gaza.
Nice.
And from a Palestinian heritage, that obviously it didn't draw me to the company, but it was, I guess, an added bonus to see that it wasn't just about.
Yeah, mate, it's the heart. There's heart in it.
There is a big heart behind Arada. So thank you for your time.
No, it's a pleasure. Look, for us as a final word, we are about humility. We are about a sense of acceptance and respect, and we want to see harmony across the globe. And I think from a building perspective, you are creating legacy and you are building communities. You are giving us a home, a place, a roof. And I think we are grateful for that. And we're very proud to associate with Arada. So thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Palmer,
Thank you
you've
for
been
having us.
amazing.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
That brings us to an end of another episode of the CBCC Voice Business Unbox. Thank you for listening and being part of our community. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please subscribe, leave a review, and share your episode with your network. We'd like to thank
Factory Sound and the New South Wales government for backing us along the way.
Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.